and welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelley and my channel is dedicated to talking about how to be environmentally friendly in a modern context. The last video we talked a lot about back to school, and it seems to be this time of year. If you're watching this video at the time that it posts, it's kind of like, you know, the late summer going into the early fall. And so I wanted to dedicate this episode, this post, to talking about autumn activities. Now, technically, it's not autumn yet. You know, the official first day of fall is September 23rd in North America, and you know, above the the hemisphere. So it's still really hot out, but it's not, you know, you can kind of feel that the summer is ending, right? I always, you know, I go for walks near my home, and again, you know, in the last video I talked about how I saw, you know, the sports practices, you know, everyone's trying out for football, trying out for lacrosse, trying out for all the sports, you know, practicing for cheerleading and things like that. So it really is, you know, the end of the summer really does kind of feel like things are slowing down, like the gears are turning, right? You know, the summer really, the whole reason that kids take the summer break off is because it was agricultural in meaning, you know, every hand was needed to harvest in the summertime, you know, so you couldn't have children in school when they were needed to help farm during that time. So, you know, so the summertime kind of, you know, while it's a break to everyone else, it really is, you know, it had a different connotation. So we've had this hiatus, you know, everyone got to go to the beach, everyone gets to have fun. And then when you get towards the end of the summer, you can just kind of feel this little bit of a shift. It's not autumn yet. It's still hot as the blazes, but, you know, things are slowing down. It's almost like a decrescendo of everything. And you really kind of feel it. There's a few days that start to get a little bit cooler. You see the leaves start to change a little bit, and you can just really feel it. But even though it's not quite fall yet, and not, you know, it's kind of that nice little bridge. Now, one of the things that we talked about in the last back to school is how there's different aesthetics. And when you think about back to school, there really is an aesthetic that comes to mind that I associate with a lot. Like I've taken all of these tests. If you watch my channel, you know, we talk about eco fashion, and sometimes knowing your style, knowing your aesthetic is a good way to, you know, approach fashion in a sustainable way. But, you know, a lot of these cores or these aesthetics are just, you know, it is almost kind of like dressing up like a character. But then again, a lot of these aesthetics have a kind of root in subculture. And I feel one of the aesthetics that really kind of plays into fall is academia. And there are different forms of academia. There's dark academia, light academia, you know, and I every time I've taken the quiz about 7 times, 7 different tests, and I get dark academia. And if you look behind me, it's, you know, I live in a studio space. I'm going to be moving soon, but I live in a studio space. But you know, it's funny when I watch all these videos really came out, you know, in the last couple of years, especially during, you know, the pandemic times. I think everybody was kind of longing for, you know, like, you know, there's kind of a romanticism about going to private school. It's very expensive, and you go away, you live in a dorm, and there's kind of just a way that you can, in your imagination, transplant yourself into that kind of world. And I think that's the romance of it, you know. Plus, you know, it really does play into fall. When you think about it, you know, if you look at it astrologically, fall is Virgo. Like, Virgo starts on August 23rd and ends on, you know, September 23rd, which is the beginning. It is that kind of bridge that we're talking about, and all of the colors that pertain into it. It's a logical sign. It's a mutable, meaning it's a communicative earth sign. So it really does feel like fall, and everything that's academia focused really feels like fall too. You know, it's like back to school and wearing uniforms and wearing darker colors and transitioning, wearing cardigans and, you know, and books and, you know, just kind of, you know, you get a little bit more rain this time of season. And, so I, you know, it's funny when I watch these, I've been watching a few just to get into the spirit of, you know, fall coming. And after I did the last video, it kind of sparked the memory in my head. Hey, let me just Google, you know, let me look on YouTube and find a few dark academia videos. And I saw one that really was positive. That was really neat. It's this, you know, this, YouTube artist who creates content about how to be dark academia. Like, she decorates her room. She is very eco-friendly too. She likes to thrift a lot and repurpose and upcycle the things that she uses. But I was really inspired by her video, and what it was 25 ways to be dark academia. And it's funny, as I watched it, I was really I can kind of understand why I got this on all of the tests, because more than half of the stuff, like just about everything that she mentioned, I really already do. I've been doing for decades, you know, but I thought that it was a neat concept to talk about 25 things that you can do to be dark academia. So I thought, I don't have a set number. I don't think it's 25, but I thought, okay, let's talk about some summer to autumn activities, and I'm calling it autumn activities because it's a bridge that you can do now, and the way that you can kind of be, and a lot of them are eco-friendly. So, and you can find ways to make them eco-friendly. So and I was inspired by her video, so please check it out. And there's a few other videos that kind of bridge off of what she talked about. But and I'll put that all on the link below. But a few of the autumn activities, like we mentioned, you know, the summer is winding down, right? I always kind of feel like this time of the year kind of feels like the end of a GIDGET movie. You know, remember the surfer girl from the 60s, Doris Day, you know, or, you know, she, you know, when you're at the beach and you know, everything is in bloom, everything's at its peak in the summertime. It's hot, everything, you know, the trees are green, you're going surfing, you have all the time in the world, you know, and it actually circles back to my beach video, which I did at the beginning of summer. You know, we were going into the season and it was so exciting because it was like, school's out, you know, I have time, you know, the world is my oyster, pun intended. But now when you get to the end of the summer, it kind of feels like, and again, when you see the GIDGET movie, the beach is desolate. No one's there anymore. Everybody's in the stores, you know, hopefully buying eco-friendly school supplies. See last video. But, you know, we're out, you know, getting books. We're doing orientations. We're touring our new schools. We're doing tryouts. You know, it seems like a very busy time, and we're again, it's like the gears are turning, and you are about to. It's, you know, like a car about to go into gear. You are about to go into a new thing, but you haven't taken action yet. So it's that weird kind of limbo time that's in between, and it's something to really be cherished and enjoyed. So I just, you know, in the parallel to the 25 ways to be, you know, dark academia, I thought of a few ways that you could enjoy this time, this bridge between summer and fall. And the first thing that I saw was, the first thing I wrote down was walk and watch the seasons change. You know, the trees are still that dark green, but you're starting to see a little bit of yellow. You're starting to see, they're starting to change just a little bit. And to actually slow down and stop, and I know that's difficult because, you know, if you've got little ones going into school, or if, you know, if you're going to school, you know, it's like rush, right? So take some time, and this is one way you can enjoy the bridge of summer to autumn. Take some time to go for a walk and actually see the trees start to change, like enjoy it. One tradition that is coming up actually next week, next Friday, on the 1st, and this is kind of I won't really call it. It's not. It's kind of a Celtic tradition, but it is really based in the Farmer's Almanac, and a lot of New Age folks do this on the 1st of every month. You like to use the term rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. You'll say rabbit, rabbit. You say the word rabbit 3 times, and what that means is it's a way of blessing that month. So you do it on the 1st of the month, and I have a lot of friends who do this on Facebook. They'll just say rabbit, 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 and it's a way. It's kind of like a little blessing. I actually have a book that talks about this. That talks about lucky, and I'll put the name of it on the screen, but lucky traditions, things that you can do to bring luck. So it is just a superstition. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it's a naturalist way of blessing your month with luck, and seeing as it's September 1st, that's a good way, that's a good autumn activity. So you'll participate in the New Age way of blessing your month. I remember one time I was actually going for a walk, and I think it was the 1st of July, and I was walking near a lake, and I actually saw 3 rabbits. Now, they weren't they weren't all together, so I couldn't say like the 3 rabbits together, but I did see 3 of them throughout my walk. So I took that as a blessing, and I did. I had a very nice July. It was very nice. Another sign of luck that could talk about it, that plays into the watching the leaves change, is there is a tradition that started in like the 1990s where if a leaf falls, if one of the first falling leaves of the season falls and touches you, like if it hits you, like if it falls on your shoulder or hits your arm, that's a sign of luck for the entire season. And that is another Farmer's Almanac, but there's been poems that talk about it too. But if you have that happen, if you're out on a walk, absorbing nature, if a leaf hits you, and I remember one time a leaf hit me right in the chest, and it had some momentum to it, so it was just like, it was kind of like smack, have a good season. I was like, okay, thank you, nature. So, but that's something to look for too. But, just breathe in the air, kind of feel it. And I know it's still kind of hot, still kind of humid, but you know what? I always love it. I love walking places. Like I like walking in the dead of winter when it's really cold out, because no one is around, and you see the most beautiful nature at that point. So, when you do these walks, and I do these walks around my neighborhood, I walk past the school, and the school is crickets, it's quiet, but this time tomorrow it's going to be bustling with activity. There's just kind of a peace. There's a way of kind of absorbing the change of the seasons. Now, another thing that you can do is you can enjoy the last of the summer activities. And this the content creator down in the 25 Things for Dark Academia talked about this too. We're still, baseball and softball season is wrapping up, so you might have a few more games that you could go to with that. The preseason for football is coming into play. You can still enjoy some outdoor concerts. There's, a lot of concerts go until like about the middle of September. You can enjoy outdoor movies. You can also enjoy more traditional things, like you can enjoy a drive-in movie, or a bike-in movie. That's even better to make it more eco-friendly. If you are enjoying an outdoor movie, if you could try to bike, or if it is in your neighborhood, I know of several restaurants and the lake that's near me, they put up a projector screen, or they'll project on the side of the building. Look for activities like that you can bike or walk to. That is a wonderful way to celebrate the end of the season. The last thing that she talked about, and she did mention it in the video too, that I thought was really interesting, is enjoy an outdoor movie at a cemetery. And this is kind of getting, and we'll talk about this again in a minute, this is kind of getting Jones for my Halloween folks who are so excited, are counting down the days to get, ready for Halloween. And that's kind of September 1st too. I know a lot of people just jump right into the Halloween mode. But I'm going to post another video below by Ted Ed that talks about how cemeteries used to be used as like a public park. Cemeteries were not all gloomy the way that they are now. Back in the day, especially at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, They were really well kept, and there were a lot of flowers, and a lot of people felt like cemeteries were places to celebrate the lives of their passed on loved ones. They would have, people would go there to have picnics, they would visit their passed on loved ones, and yes, people would have dining events, and there are movies that are played in cemeteries. Now, I don't know if the movies that you might find might be more of the spooky kind, now that Halloween's coming up. But there's a lot of really cool things, and I thought that the video I'm going to post was really interesting. Towards the end of the video, not to get morbid, but if you are somebody who's looking forward to Halloween, it also bridged into how cemeteries and how the options that you have post-mortem. There's eco-friendly ways that you can plan your funeral, and I know that sounds a little morbid, but it's really quite interesting that instead of all this formaldehyde and things that are used with a formal burial, you can go for things like having your ashes turned into fireworks, or having your ashes turned into something that can be turned into jewelry, or ink for a tattoo, or spread shot into space. There's so many eco-friendly ways that you can look at it, and the end of that video talks about that. So that's just something to think about, because again, cemeteries take up land and space, but they used to really be treated like public park and gathering areas. And I think that's fascinating, and that's definitely a bridge into fall. Another thing in talking about cemeteries is you can plan a few ghost tours, or just regular history tours that might have a little bit of a spooky element to it. I feel like going on those kind of tours are so nice, especially, again, with this time being so close to the start of school. The start of school is really about learning, and if you're not a student, or if you're just looking for something to do that's education for fun, those type of activities are definitely available now. And that's the other exciting thing, is now that we're past summertime, everyone's back from the beach, so you can really kind of plan more of these type of activities close to home, and then there's ample ones available because of the time of year that it is. Another thing is your farmer's market. Your farmer's market is another thing that hasn't gone away just yet. Until it really starts getting cold, you'll have your farmer's market on the weekends, or during the week. The nice thing one thing that I wanted to talk about with that is that, how the moment that September 1st hits, and even if it's 101 degrees on September 1st, everybody's running to the coffee shop to get their pumpkin spice latte. And it's funny, when I think about pumpkin spice, it's a great drink. It really is a yummy drink. But the thing about it is, I like to think of it like pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is a Thanksgiving delicacy, and the reason that you get so excited about it is because it's been 11 months since you've had it, right? It's almost like it's been so long, and it's that time of year. But humans, we like learning new things, right? If you just do the same thing every year, like if you just go apple picking every year, or if you go pumpkin, those are exciting activities, but they can become very repetitive. And it's psychologically proven that when you do something different, when you do something new, whether that's taking a different path home, from driving home from work, maybe you say, okay, I'm not going to take the same route, I'm going to take a scenic route today. It stimulates the pleasure sensors in your brain. It gives you good endorphins when you do something new. It creates new synapses in your brain because you're doing something different. So when it comes to, okay, it's pumpkin spice time, why don't you look for something different? Instead of just going straight for the pumpkin spice, which you've had every September 1st for you tell me how long, long time, why don't you go to your farmer's market and see what else is out there? That goes for flowers. A lot of times we look at the same type of flowers. Why don't you do this? And this is a very eco-friendly thing. To ask your farmers market people questions. Ask your farmers questions. Say, okay, what's in season? What and ask them about their crop. Have they had a good crop? Has it been too hot? Has it been too dry? Have these conversations, and then maybe pick up some flowers or the fruit that they have available. Also, look at the different types of flowers that they have available. Now, you can also ask them about, and what would be a good replacement for pumpkin spice. I actually saw that, this type of year, different type of chords are good. My boss actually the other day mentioned how she had made some eggplant lasagna, and eggplant's a really prominent type of plant this type of year. Also, try to make pumpkin into something else. Try to use pumpkin in a different way, other than the tried and true. And the other thing is that also kind of ties into fashion too. I kept seeing, speaking of dark academia aesthetic, I kept seeing a lot of tomato girl aesthetic and strawberry girl aesthetic. There was, strawberry girl summer or tomato girl summer. And what it was is really more about the colors and the kind of the patterns that you were wearing. But you could easily take that and make that your bridge, especially the tomato girl. You could really make you can make it a tomato girl August, September bridge into fall and still wear those bright colors. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about with colors, and this kind of plays into back to school, shopping for clothes too. You could absolutely bridge your summer into your fall, because here on this channel, we always encourage, try to look at your closet first before you go out and buy a bunch of new clothes for school, and look at what you already have. The other thing is, if you are going to buy something, try to buy it secondhand. Go to your thrift stores. I just went to the thrift store today and I found some great stuff. And what it is that, when you go to the thrift store, look for natural fibers, cotton, linen, hemp, silk, and wool. Also look for wool silk blends, because those are really easier to launder. The other thing is that, you can kind of bridge these colors, like the themes of Tomato Girl Summer. A lot of that, think about it, those kind of deep reds and the deeper greens can bridge over into fall. Now, one thing about, and this actually plays into the dark academia, is I've talked before about how, if you put money, whether it's secondhand, you bought it thrifted, or especially if you buy it brand new. And if you buy it brand new, you really, really want to make sure it's those natural fibers that we talked about. But when you're putting your money towards something, you want to make sure that it's your style, right? You don't want to just put yourself into some cookie cutter mold. Oh, well, it's fall, let me be dark academia. You can do that, but if it's not really your style, if it is not your core aesthetic, if it is not your subculture, not just an aesthetic, if it's not part of you, and you can see behind me and, everything we're talking about dark academia, that is me. I really think in another life I was a librarian, and I was darn proud, because I'm a scribe, I'm an artist. I like to journal things and document things. But, that does also reflect in my style. I do wear a lot of plaid. I do wear a lot of deeper colors. But the thing about colors, though, is, and especially, and I failed to mention this in the Barbiecore video, but I'm going to mention it now. I've mentioned color charts before, too. We get so picky about something being the style that we're looking for, sometimes we don't bother to see if the color would look right on us. And we do all have color schemes. I see this with jewelry too, like everyone's talking about those shell hoop earrings, but they're all gold. If you don't look good in gold, you're going to be dropping a lot of money for something that's going to make you look washed out. And the same thing goes with like dark academia, and especially in, well, not just in dark academia, but in fall in general. You see all these product lines, put up a bunch of, olive greens and warm browns and golden yellows. And that is an earth color palette. That's an earth color palette. And I've mentioned this in other videos. If you can go to the library and get like a Color Me Beautiful book, or I have several books, I have several books that I take, but you can also do there's plenty of tests online. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're getting a new outfit, that it's the colors that look good on you. And I'll use myself as an example. I am not an earth tone. I am a bright. In my color chart book, I'm called a star. And a star is really jewel toned. I have I have a green undertone, but it's very, very cool. So I don't look good in gold jewelry. I look good in silver jewelry, and I definitely do not look good in like any of the warm colors. So if you if I try to put on a warm brown, I look sickly. But I can pull off a dark brown, like a dark chocolate brown. That looks fabulous. And the other thing is you can go with other neutrals other than black. I have black on, but there are other neutrals that look better. And what I mentioned with Barbiecore is that I saw a lot of people going for the really cool pinks because the Barbie pink is kind of a cool color. But I saw a lot of people who were warm skin tone or olive skin tone trying to pull off that like really Barbie pink, and it made them look bad. You know, it's kind of like the opposite. I look bad in warm tones, and warm tone people look bad in cool tones. But, you know, if you are going to, you know, interject some pink into your wardrobe or carry that into the fall, and believe me, I got bitten by the Barbie bug when we talk about Halloween costumes. I really, the color pink I've come out of my comfort zone with the color pink this season. But if you are a warm tone person, you might want to look at the warmer tones of pink, because there's more of peachy pinks. There is such a thing as a color gradient. And it's funny, we put so much emphasis. I see so many people do so much research about, you know, can I find this exact jumpsuit? If we put that same kind of dedication into making sure the color looks good on you before you buy it, you'll keep that garment because that garment looks good on you. You know, if basically, you know, making sure that it's the right color for you goes a long way. And you are going to see a lot of those earth tone things. Like I'm, you know, what was it? I was watching another environmental channel, and they were pitching her earthy green. Earthy green would make me look horrible. But again, Kelly green, like a bright green. And the way that I like to think about it is kind of break it down by the spectrum. You remember that Ziploc commercial that used to say, and yellow and blue makes green, right? Look at the colors of yellow and blue that look good on you, and what, you know, like I look good in bright lemon yellows, and I look good in real cobalt blues. And when I put that together, that shows me the green that would look good on me. So definitely do your research a little bit. The other thing is when, you know, and again, I like plaids, I like dark academia stuff, but you know, that genre, that, you know, aesthetic offers a lot of golden yellows, a lot of warm browns, a lot of muddy greens. Those don't look good on me. But what I can wear is I can wear really deep navies, and I can wear burgundy. Burgundy looks fabulous on me. It's like a kind of a reddish, you know, purple, like a blood purple. And, you know, the other thing is that there's differences in grays too. There's kind of a warm gray that looks horrible on me. And then there's there's a dove gray, which almost is like a silver, really cool gray. That looks fabulous on me. I even have a pair of plaid sneakers that are like all of my good colors. So basically, you know, as you're going into this season, definitely thrift first. There's so much out there that looks great, you know, that you can just get from the thrift store. But look for natural fibers. Look for the colors that look good on you. If you are going to bother getting something, because I promise you later, if you drop money on it, if it's still sitting in your closet and you ask yourself the question, why don't I wear it? If it's because it's just not, if it's an ugly color on you, that's one of the reasons why. And that just contributes to the cycle of waste of us giving it away or trying to throw away or trying to get it to go to a better end life. Now, the other thing that you can look for is natural fall decor. And again, you know, we get into the decoration thing. You know, look for natural fall decor. I'm actually taking a class in a couple weeks that we're going to be making wreaths, but we're going to be making it from natural materials. So if you see something that, you know, looks, you know, good. And then, of course, this time of year, the next thing is education. It's the time of year when you're going back to school. And even if you yourself are not, you know, going back to school, there's a lot of classes, there's a lot of events that you can participate in. I actually was I got sent a catalog from my local community college, and they had just events. They were, you know, non-credit events. And one of the events I really liked, but it was for senior naturalists. So you had to be above above the age of 50. And I'm not above the age of 50, so I did put in a phone call and I said, hey, you know, I'm not 50, but could I participate in this? And what it is we're going to be hiking to a local river, a really prominent river, and we're going to be taking a sample of water and looking at it under a microscope. It's called like life in a water drop, and I just thought that was fantastic. I'm really excited about that, and I lucked out, and they called me back and they said, yes, we'll make an exception. So I actually enrolled for 2 of those classes. So I'm proud to say that I am an official junior member of the senior naturalists group, and I'm very grateful. But that's something that you can definitely do. And one of the classes that is with that group is we're going to be making wreaths, a wreath from natural materials. Now, the only thing is, if you're going to do this outside of the supervision of of someone who knows what to look for, just be careful with pine cones. Sometimes pine cones have stuff living in it, so you want to be on the lookout for that. The last thing is that if you are going on these walks, definitely, the days are getting shorter, right? That's one of the other signs of transition. You kind of see the sun's not setting as late anymore. And life is about to speed up. Everyone's getting busy, right? So sometimes it's good just to stop and observe, like to stop and breathe. There's a grounding technique, and this is kind of a new age thing that I do because sometimes my anxiety ramps up. It's not that anything really around me is going wrong. It's just I'm feeling anxious. It's a busy time. It can be kind of overwhelming on a sensory kind of level. So whether you're out in nature or if you're just sitting in your room and you need to kind of breathe a little bit, I've noticed that, the nice thing to do is ground. It's just stop, drop, and ground. And one of the ways that you can do is with a really easy technique by reaching into recognizing your senses. Like if you are out in nature or if you're just in your room, if you need to stop and ground, ask yourself, what do you see? And then ask yourself, what do you hear? And then reach out and think about what can you feel? And then what can you smell? And then that 5th sense is just kind of what are you channeling? What are you kind of sensing on your intuition? Why are you feeling this way? And I've noticed that when I do that out in nature, it's a transcendent experience, because I'll see, light coming through the trees. I'll smell, that smell of the turning leaves, and I know it's fall. And then I'll feel a breeze, or, I'll feel, on these humid days, sometimes a breeze come through and it just cools everything down. It's like it's blowing away all the humidity away from your body. So that's a nice grounding technique, especially to do at this time of year or when you're feeling anxious, or especially when we have all this activity going on. One other thing is exfoliate. And I know that sounds like such a funny thing. Again, kind of going back to the GIDGET movie, we've had the summertime is really about overproductivity, right? It's like, the days are long. You can get up at 8 a.m. and not come in until 8 p.m. It's like a good solid 12 hours of daylight. And your nails are growing, your hair is growing, the leaves are growing, everything's at the peak of growth, right? And as we get close to winter, it's like you're starting to realize that, okay, maybe my ends are a little bit split, a little scraggly, maybe my nails are just a little too long. The other thing is you get a buildup of a lot of skin on your face, and not to be weird, but when you get a sunburn, when your skin starts to peel, that happens year round. So, sometimes it's nice to have a time to just get in the shower and really, take time with your self-care. Now, I'm going to post a few videos down below. There are some great sea salts. Like I noticed that balsam salts are great for exfoliation because they're kind of rough when they're in their raw form, but then they just, they melt into the water. And, salt is a real good exfoliant. It's also a good way to disinfect your body, with all the sweat and stuff, it's a good way to clean. Another thing that's good is, your scalp usually has a buildup of skin and cells. There's great there's great sprays that you can put in your scalp that are apple cider vinegar. And you just spray it in, and you have to be careful with it. You have to make sure the balance is correct, because there's, any vinegar is very acidic, but if you mix it with the right amount of water, and there's videos that talk about that, and then you just spray it and put it into your scalp, let it sit for a little bit before you get into your shower. I've noticed it makes my hair look really, really good, and it does exfoliate my scalp really nicely. Now, you can't really tell. I was hoping to have my hair a little bit better for this video because I went for a walk, so I'm all sweaty. But I also got my hair trimmed, and it's amazing. I pin my hair up all the time, and I haven't wanted to pin it up. And that just, it's like fall is like a pruning time, and you're pruning yourself too, right? If you whether it's for back to school or just to feel better, just to cut off kind of the excess from the summer, that's a good autumn activity. Now, the other thing is with nails, and I actually did just trim my nails because they were getting long, but it's amazing how healthy your nails get when you keep them at a good length. When they get nice and long, they look so pretty, but just like your hair, sometimes the ends start to get a little weak, a little, split. But if you trim them on a normal basis, that really does feel like, it feels like exfoliation, right? Now, I do always encourage people to do natural nails. I've stopped painting, and I've never done acrylic, just because acrylic produces a lot of waste. It's very toxic. The fumes are really bad for you, and then anything that you have on your nail bed is going to soak into your skin, right? The other thing is that your nail beds breathe. If you have anything, whether that be nail polish or, acrylic nails or fake nails, that prevents your nails from breathing. So they are going to be weak, or they're going to be, more susceptible if you have that. Now, I'm not harshing on you if you do that. Everybody has their pleasure, and like I said, you're allowed to take up space. If having your hair done or having your nails done is what you like to do, that is up to you. But I can just say that, by having natural nails, that is really, it's been a good experience for me. I feel like I can keep them more clean, and the other nice thing is it saves you a lot of money. You don't have to have them touched up. You don't have to go and have it. I actually just saw a Facebook post where my friend had taken her daughter to have her nails done, and she said that it was a madhouse. They were in there for 3 hours, and that kind of makes sense because it's back to school time and everyone's getting their nails done. But if you want to do the eco-friendly way, you can let the acrylics grow out and just do them natural, and there are such a thing as natural nail polishes, but a lot of that's still anything that would be that type of product would be detrimental to the environment. So I've never really used it. Now, just a few other things that we can talk about, and then we'll wrap up. And again, looking at the 25 dark academia things, a lot of the things she talked about I already do. She talked about drinking coffee, making coffee yourself with like a French press, drinking tea or coffee out of a teacup. I actually bought a teacup from the antique mall last year. I don't drink tea out of it. I probably could, but it's more for display. But I do have a teacup. Of course, I drink tea. I drink a lot of tea, and let's play cards, I'll shuffle. But I drink tea all the time, and that is a wonderful fall activity. The other thing with tea is that if you actually use natural cotton bags, or if you have a stainless steel, like a real stainless steel, we talked about like how a lot of metals, a lot of the cheap tea strainers have like a lot of coating on it that's not good for you. But if you have an actual stainless steel tea steeper, those are really ideal. You see a lot of silicone ones now that are in cute shapes, like like you have I've seen a manatee, I've seen a Titanic one. There's less. I honestly don't know. Silicone is used for a lot of that too, but you can use that. Instead of and loose tea. That really is organic. Way to make it. And then of course coffee, using a coffee press. I use a pour over for my coffee. It's I put it in, it's like a ceramic funnel. I put a non-bleached filter in it, put my coffee in. It's always really delicious too. And it's just so good when it's fresh brewed like that. Now, one other thing that she mentioned is she mentioned reading your local newspaper. And I don't have a subscription to anything, and honestly, everything's digital nowadays, but I did pick up a local business one, and I did actually read through it, and that was a fun experience. So if you get a chance to do that, pick up your local newspaper and read it. And then the last thing that we could talk about, and then we'll wrap up, is, of course, it's back to school time. And, I in addition to the Life in a Water Drop, I did pick up an environmental course. I hope I didn't perjure myself too much. They said that you needed an English prerequisite, which I have, but I think they expected me to have Algebra 2. I think I took Algebra 2. I don't remember how well I did on it, but oh well, they got me, so I'm doing it. But I'm really excited. I'm starting that tomorrow. I'm a little nervous, so I'm hoping it's going okay. But in addition to that, if even if you're not going to school, you can go to your library. You could go to your thrift store and you can pick up books. I actually found a bunch of books from the thrift store today for all of them were under $5. These were like $2, which I thought were a great deal. And these are National Geographic Society, so really good novels. But Isles of the Caribbean, I've been fascinated about the Caribbean ever since the beach video that I posted, and it's really fascinating. It has a lot about the culture, and a lot of these books are from 30 years ago. So really, it's nice to see. I also got the Mighty Aztecs. I got 3 other books that are called eyewitness books, and I know these are kind of more kid ones, but I really like it really is like visiting a museum because it has the right amount of pictures and descriptions. The other thing that we talked about is it talked about it actually has pages that talk about the pond in autumn. So, the class that I'm taking is really talking about this, and discover the ecology of habitats near your home. So I thought this would be a great one, and it ties into what we're talking about what flowers, what fruits are in season this time of year. I got one about seashells, because, that's my thing. I also found one about the butterfly and the moth. And I actually find, on my nature walks, I find a lot of things about butterflies. I actually found a monarch butterfly. It was not living, but I found it in a parking lot, and I brought it home, and it's just really beautiful. I've got a little, I think they call it dilepidera, when you pin, moths and butterflies, and I've always been fascinated by that. One last book that I got, and again, this is also a little bit of a kid's book, but what really fascinated me is that I have a bunch of real books about the Apollo moon landing, but I thought this one was great because it actually talks about the orbit in which they came in and came back for all of the moon landings. And what is great, and this is one of the things I absolutely love about getting stuff from the thrift store, is that there is actually a dedication. And it says, always reach for the moon. You never know what you might touch. So that's the beauty of going to the library or going to the bookstore, because you can find some gems, and you don't have to formally enroll for a class to learn something. And last but not least, and I did look out and I did get this, is It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown DVD. And of course, going into fall, the moment we hit September 1st, you're the folks who are excited about Halloween. This is your time. It is almost go time. So the way that you get eco-friendly with it is, if you are looking ahead to Halloween, now is a good time to start. But try to thrift your outfit. If you know what you want to do, you could sew it using leftover material, or you could find all natural materials, if you watch my eco dupe. If you see a Halloween costume, and believe me, I have a Halloween costume episode of this channel coming up soon. God, guys, it is crazy. It's probably one of the, next to Christmas, it's probably the number one most wasteful, because we buy an outfit to wear once, and it's all polyester, and it's all, mass produced and flown around the world, you know. And so right now is when we want to start preparing for that. If you know the character that you want to be, see if you can thrift it. See if you can get those pieces. And that's the best way to look for eco costumes. If you're making your own costume, try to see if you can find it with organic cotton or you know, or fabrics that have been used for something else. You know, you can also, in preparation for Halloween, you can plan to visit a cemetery after you watch that video I'm posting below. You can buy tickets for a haunted tour. You know, that's a good way to learn about the history of things. And, you know, you can also, you know, also take a class, you know, and, you know, maybe learn a little bit more about, you know, the way that, I don't know, just about anything. I'm learning about, again, I've been very fascinated by, you know, the chemicals in our clothing and our water, and, you know, just the way that we live, how it's impacting our natural resources. So, but you can, you know, now is the time to do it. Now's the time to do it. But I hope this gave some inspiration. It is definitely an exciting time of year. It's about to get really busy for a lot of people. But, you know, stop to enjoy it. Really look at the nuances that are different from the tried and true. Because every autumn we have our traditions, but, you know, enjoy the long days as they start to shorten. You know, find something that's different that you've never learned about before. And, you know, really get out there and definitely try to do it in an eco way. You know, how can you make it an eco activity? So, but, and let me know if you get a chance, you know, post a comment, or, you know, let me know. And I'd be really curious. I'd love to see what you're doing this beginning of the autumn season. But I thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.